Hi friends, welcome to day one of the Christmas in July craft along. My name is Jennifer with One Crafty Sister, and I am so glad that you're here to craft along with me this week. This year, I'm trying something a little bit different. I'll be recording daily videos and sending them to your email inbox so you can enjoy them on your own schedule. Now, that doesn't mean I still won't be here. I will. I'll just be in the comments while you're watching along. So feel free to leave any questions and I'll be happy to answer them along the way. Now, this craft along is a collaboration with 5 of my very talented friends. We will be featuring the Pretty Poinsettia and Festive cheer bundles along with some other amazing products, and you will be watching me create 12 individual projects this week. 12 projects. So the most fun part is that I get to start tonight with the projects that I designed for this collaboration. Whether you're crafting right alongside with me or you're watching with your favorite drink in hand, I'm so glad that you're here with me tonight. Let's get started. Let's get started. Let's get started. Okay, so here are my very beautiful and talented friends that partnered with me on this Christmas in July craft along. I'm so excited to be able to work with them. And as you can see, this PDF is packed full with lots of instructions, beautiful photos, and lots of Christmas cheer. So I'm going to start with project number 1, which is a card featuring the Festive cheer bundle. Now, before I get started, I want to show you what you received if you registered for the full craft along kit. You will have received this adorable pink gingham burlap bag, complete with a little Christmas joy tag, because we have to have Christmas joy for our Christmas in July craft along. Inside is a half pack of the A Stitched Season Designer Series paper and a half pack of the Gingham Gallery Designer Series paper, as well as a pack of the adhesive back mini Christmas buttons and the Moody palette dots. Now these are mine, so you'll get brand new ones, not the ones that have already been used. You'll also have a bolt of the real red stitched ribbon. This ribbon is so fun and festive, as well as some of the gold striped ribbon, mesh ribbon. And this is super shiny and fun. You can't have a fun crafting night without some fun Christmas socks. And everyone needs a little bit of Christmas candy. So all of that is packed in this bag, along with a pack of 24 sheets of all the cardstock that you'll use for cutting all of your projects. Some embossed layers, die cut layers, specialty paper. As you can see, look at these beauties back here. Do you see that shine? So shiny and beautiful. And we're gonna use a lot of this for the craft along, but you'll definitely have more to take and play for many more projects in your craft room. Okay, so let's get started with project number 1, which is a Christmas card. We're going to start out by taking a couple things out of our packet and getting our supply set up. Now, I did do a little bit of prep work ahead of time, so I didn't have to die cut everything in front of you. You will still get to see some things die cut and prepared, but I wanted to make it a little bit easier for you. So you will need your Secret Sea Stampin' Blends and your Peaceful Pine shimmer brush. You'll also need your Peaceful Pine ink pad for this, and we'll be using this cute stamp that says Holly Jolly Greetings. Now I will need a thick basic white card base. So I'm going into my pack of paper to pull that out. And I'm going to trim a thick white card base. And all the measurements and instructions are in your PDF, but this is a 5.5 by 8.5 card base. So we'll just go ahead and cut and score that. A little tip, if you like to make sure that your card bases are nice and aligned when you burnish the score line after you score, just press all the way down along the edge here and then take your bone folder and go over, and if there's any discrepancy in your score line, that will help you get a nice finish and folded edge. Now we do also need to cut some of our designer series paper. So for this one, we're going to be using some of the cute Stitched Season designer series paper. I love this paper. Number one, look at these cute birds. More cute birds. These cute quilting patterns are just adorable. And we're going to use several of them this week, as well as some of the B-sides, which are these awesome patterns on the back. Okay. Now I'm going to use for this card some of these holly berries. So I'm going to go ahead and cut a couple pieces of this. So we need 2 pieces that are 1 inch by 5.5. So I cut them at 1 inch. I'm going to stack them up together, put them on my trimmer, and trim them to 5.5 together. And then I just have a couple little pieces to toss in the trash. And then I do need just a couple little pieces of another pattern in here, this plaid. And what we're going to do with this is we are going to cut out 3 of these ornaments from the Festive Cheer bundle. So I'm just going to take out, let's see, it looks like this is about 1.5 inches. Let me just make sure. I'm going to just cut a piece that's 1.5 inches. Yep, that should work. And then I'm going to trim those down just to make it easy to cut. And we are going to cut these out really quick with the cut and emboss. So when you are cutting designer series paper, you can usually cut more than 1. I don't normally do 3, but we're going to try it. We're going to test it here. Normally I would just do 2, but I feel like this paper is probably thin enough to handle 3. Like it did it beautifully. Now I wouldn't recommend that with detailed dies or any of the dies that emboss as well, because you'll lose all the beautiful detail. Okay, so I think we have just one more thing to pull out of our paper, which is some of those really cute cardinals. Now we need 3 of them, and we want them, at least 2 of them, to be facing in opposite directions. So I'm going to take and cut this one, and this one out. These 3. Now I am doing these live to show you because these are really easy to cut out. These are not difficult ones to fancy cut, as I call it, because they do have nice straight lines. So even those of you that really dislike trimming out things without a die, this is super easy because of the straight lines. So I am just leaving just a tiny bit of border, but as you can see, this does not take much time at all and should not be a high frustration level for you. So there's one. Let's go ahead and move on to the next one. And you don't even have to worry about turning your paper. I'm literally just cutting each straight line and cutting it off, cutting the leftover off. But these cardinals are so cute. I don't know about you and where you live, but where I live and in my backyard, I year-round have a lot of cardinals. They are the most popular bird in my yard, and on some days I'll easily see like 10 or more cardinals in the yard at different times of the day at a time. Like I can see them at the same time. We just have a lot of them in our yard, in our neighborhood, in my town. It's just a really common bird. And I find it interesting because I do know some people that haven't seen cardinals very often, and they are really excited when they see one. And that's always kind of struck me as odd because they're just kind of like one of our most common birds here. Okay, so there's all three of those. We have our 3 ornaments. We have our 3 birds. Oops, we have our 2 pieces of patterned paper cut, and we have our card base. The next thing that we need is some die cuts, and these I have already die cut for us to make it nice and easy. I've cut out 2 peaceful pine bows. I've also cut out some gold foil. Now, if you are doing this at home, I do recommend taking and putting a little piece of adhesive sheet onto the back of your gold foil before you cut out these tiny pieces, because we need 1, 2, 3 of these little tiny gold strings practically. We need 3 of these adorable little gold bows. And then we need 3 of these ornament toppers. Now, the good thing about cutting these out is that the ornament strings are on 1 die, so when you cut them out, you cut 5 at a time, and that's the same for these little ornament toppers. You cut 5 of them out at a time. You have 2 different shapes here. I'm using this shape, and then this is the bow that I die cut, and I did die cut 3 of those, but you can see how cute they are. And with having the adhesive sheet on the back, it should make it easy for us to assemble the card. Okay, now the first thing we want to do is we are going to add on our designer series paper. So I'm going to take and adhere 1 piece to the front left of our card. I'm going to slide this out of the way for a moment. So I am going to use some liquid glue just so I have a little bit of wiggle room when I put this on. Okay, there we go. And then the other piece is going to go on the inside of our card, just along the right-hand side. Now, one thing I want to point out is that this is a single layer card, with designer series paper and added layers and embellishment, but it is a single layer thick white card. You do not always have to have lots of layers to have a really beautiful and classy card, although you're going to see lots of layering and beautiful classy projects through this entire craft along. But sometimes I do like to show you how you can get away without having super big and bulky cards. Okay. Now, I do want to take and do a little bit of splattering on here. So I'm going to take my Dark Secret Sea Stampin' Blend. I'm just going to take a piece of paper here. Just push this. And I am going to use my bone folder and splatter a little bit on here. So you can see that splatter. And now we're going to take and kind of create our little pine bough up top. I'm going to use just a little bit of, actually I'm going to use mini glue dots because this is a really easy way to attach these, and there's good spots to hide them. So I've added mini glue dots, and I'm going to kind of arch them across the top of my card like so. And let's see. So I forgot that I wanted to put this one a little bit underneath that one. Just slowly pulling this up, because I actually want to hide the end of this one underneath the other one. Okay. So I'm just adding glue dots the same way onto this one. Okay, there we go. So we have a nice layered pine bough, just like it was hanging off of your Christmas tree, which I'm not even there to think about a Christmas tree yet, even though we are doing Christmas in July. But let's first, before we place anything else, stamp our sentiment right down here on the bottom. So I'm going to take my Peaceful Pine ink pad, ink up my sentiment. Right there. Holly Jolly Greetings. And then I'm also going to take, and we do not need that marker for this, go ahead and lay out my ornaments. So what we're going to do here is we are going to hang 2 of these ornaments from our tree, from our branch of our tree, and I'd like them to be staggered, so kind of one higher and one lower. And what I'm going to do is take and adhere these down with just a little bit of adhesive. I'm going to use my seal because I actually want them not completely stuck down at the top. And you'll see why in just a second. So there's that. Now we're going to take our little gold hanging wires, and we're going to want to just peel them to get, remember I suggested using the adhesive sheet, so I cut them out with adhesive sheet on them, and I'm able to just remove them like that. Now I wanted to leave the end of it not adhered so I could tack this down. And then I'm going to trim this, and I'm going to end up sticking it a little bit under. If I can get this in the right spot. without cutting that one. Okay. What I wanted to do was trim it so that I can kind of slide it underneath. Push that over. Okay. And it looks like it's coming right out of the tree. And it's all nice and stuck down because it has that adhesive backing. So I'm going to do the same thing with this. Now because these are so skinny, the backing comes off super easy. And you'll take and do the same thing on this. I'm going to just kind of bend my card to stick that underneath. Kind of eye where I think I'm going to stick it underneath there. And then kind of sneakily lift my pieces up and stick the string underneath. Okay, so there I have my 2 ornaments hanging on my tree. We're going to add these little ornament toppers onto each one. If you want to get super tedious, you can feed them through. I am not going to do that here, but you could feed them through. I think it's cute enough this way. Okay. Oops. And then we're going to add our little bows, which also have the adhesive backing on them. And so I can hide right there, put it right over that, and you won't even see, but you can tell, you see all the components, but you can't really tell what order. Okay, look how cute this is coming along. Next, we're going to take our cardinals and we are going to pop those up on dimensionals and add them to these ornaments. Like so. Look how cute. I love those little quilted cardinals. Oops, excuse me. Now we need to add some bling on the front of the card, so I'm going to get out my Moody palette dots. And I am going to pull in some of this old olive from these leaves. And sprinkle these all over, if I can get them off here, all over our card front. Because we have a whole pack of them, why not bling it up well? Okay. And last but not least, we need to finish off the inside. And we are going to take and add another ornament on the inside of our card. So I'm going to add this one right about up here. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm not going to adhere the top of it all the way down. And I'm kind of lining it up, so I'm splitting the ornament with this line of DSP. Peel this backing off. Drop this underneath, and I'm just going to follow the line of the paper, just like that. And then turn it over, trim that off. Looks like I have a little bit here I need to trim off. And then we're going to finish by decorating this one the same way that we did the ones on the front of the card. So if you don't want to sit here and fuss with that adhesive getting the back off, it's mainly because of my fingernails that I can't get it off. So if you don't have some type of addition onto your nails, it's probably easier, but you can also use your take your pick tool with one of the piercing ends, and that works great to get those pieces off. And then lastly, we're going to add our little cardinal on the inside. So there is the inside of our card, and there is our holly jolly greetings with our sweet stitched cardinals from the, what is it called? Festive Cheer Bundle. I have it right in front of me. Festive Cheer Bundle. So I hope you enjoyed the Festive Cheer card and those cute little cardinals. They're too tweet. Too tweet. Okay, let's set this card aside and get ready to move on to, let me just come up here just for a second. Project 2. I'm super excited about because you're going to be able to use it for the rest of this craft along to put your cards in. So if you are looking for ideas to create a giftable card set for the holidays, if you like to sell your cards at holiday fairs, or at your, if you're a demonstrator and you like to sell them at your card classes, or if you just want to take and teach a really cool box, we are going to make a really neat box to hold all of your cards. And I hope you're really going to love it. So what you're going to need is, starting out with some Peaceful Pine cardstock. So I'm going to pull out a couple pieces from here. Let's see. Think about what I need here. Okay, let's start here. We're going to go ahead and construct the box, and then we'll do some decorating. We're going to need an 8.5 by 10 inch piece of Peaceful Pine. And then oh, well, why don't I turn my camera down so you can see what I'm doing? How about that? Okay, so we've got our 8.5 by 10 inch piece of Peaceful Pine, and we're gonna score it at 1 2 inches on all 4 sides. So I'm just gonna come here and use my outer 1 inch, just because I like using that one. And then I'll come back and do the 2 inches on the inside. So now we're going to do 2 inches. So I'm using the inside 2 here. So we have our box base, and you can see that we scored it 1 inch and 2 inch on all 4 sides. And now what we are going to do, and I'm going to try to make this a little easier for you to see. We are going to cut out all 3 of the outer corners on each box. Okay, so I'm going to use my larger scissors. I'm just going to come in cut those out on each side. I do want to cut them just to the inside of the score line so that you'll see why it's going to help when we put it together, when we're folding this all together, especially on the long tabs here, here, and here. You'll want to cut the score line out. Okay. Okay. So as you can see now, we've cut out all 3 of those squares on each side. And then we have to take and miter these 4 squares that are left over to make our tabs. So we're going to miter from the skinny end. That's the direction we want our tab to be. So I'm going to cut up the side of the tab and miter out just a tiny bit. Okay, and do the same thing on all 4. Miter. And then last but not least, the 4th one. Make sure you don't have any pieces hanging out there. And now you want to take your bone folder and you just want to go through and give all of these a good burnish. You can do the same with each of your tabs. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to secure all 4 of our sides using liquid glue. Now what I'm going to do, what I'm going to show you is that we are going to start by folding the small tabs in, okay, and these pieces will come over and tuck in. To get a nice good adherence, I'm going to put adhesive on these tabs to start out with. Using my green glue. And you just want to make sure when you glue these that you're keeping your corners straight. Give it just a second to get a good adhesion. I like to hold it for about 10 or 15 seconds just so it gets a nice adhesion. And I do prefer liquid glue when I'm making boxes, even though some of you might say like, Jennifer, it gets all over my hands. It tends to hold up better over time. So I'm gonna now take and add a little bit of glue there, and I'm gonna flip this over and tack it inside. Now by doing the box like this, we're creating a nice solid edge, so it's going to be sturdier than if you had just cut it 2 inches shorter and just had a 1-inch wall. This is going to give you a nice finished look. So I'm going to add some glue to my tabs over here and do the same process to close the end over here. So I'm going to hold this just a little bit. You just want to hold it until it's not going to slide around. Liquid glue is great because it is forgiving, but if you don't give it time to really adhere, then it slides around. What we love about it could be what ends up having your pieces not in the right places. All right. I'm going to add glue here and tuck that one in. You can also use your bone folder to go over and just make sure it's nice and flat and adhered. Okay, so there's that side. And now I'm going to add adhesive to each side and adhere these long sides. The bone folder does really help you get a nice adhesion on here. Okay. Just giving it nice. So there I have my nice box, and look at that. It fits a card, and it's going to hold your cards and envelopes in there. All right. So we have our box, but now we need to create a cover. So to create the cover, we are going to cut another piece of our shaded spruce. I have to tell you that shaded spruce is hands down my favorite new ink color. I love it, love it, love it. So this is going to be 6.5 by 11. And I'm going to score it at 5 and 6. I couldn't remember. Now, if you're watching this and you're like, Jennifer, I can't keep up and I didn't order the Craft Along kit, you can purchase the PDF as an instant download. The link is in my video description, and you'll get all 12 projects as well as a supply sheet for you to prepare for your Craft Along, and that is $25, okay, for the PDF. So I have this piece that is going to be our cover, okay, like our book. We're making like a little book box. But we've got to do some decorating. So we are going to cut some of our patterned paper. And I loved this pattern from the A Stitched season. So we're going to cut this to 6 by 10.5. So it is already cut to 6 inches. So we're just going to go here to 10.5. And we are going to score, well, actually, we're not going to score this. I'll tell you why. It's a lot easier to do this without scoring. So we are going to add this to our box, but I found it's easier to glue it on one section, kind of fold and crease with your fingers, and then wrap around and glue to the back. Okay, so I am going to add adhesive here. Okay. I'm giving it an equal border all the way around as best as possible. I am just eyeing it, but you can see there's an equal border. And then I'm going to just take and fold. Okay. Like that. And then I'm going to fold this side, pushing my paper down because it's going to want to slide some. Okay. And then I have my nice crease here, and we'll just go ahead and continue adding some more adhesive. Okay, so there I have my book cover. Just gonna flatten it out here a little bit to get my glue adhered. Okay. Okay. Now we are going to create an arm that's going to go. Before we adhere this together, we want to add an arm that is going to come over and close our box. So we have a piece of 2 by 6. So I'm using one of my scraps from trimming down my other piece, which is 2 inches wide. So it's 2 by 6, and we're going to score this at 3 and 4. Okay. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and use my bone folder to give those score lines a nice burnish. And this is going to be adhered so that this score line lines up with the outer edge of your book cover. Okay, so I'm going to use liquid glue again here. And I'm just eyeing for center. No need to measure. Okay, so you see how that will create a little flap there. And now what we're going to do is adhere our box inside. And we're going to adhere it so that it's just in the center. Okay, so you kind of have equal border all around. Whoa. Wasn't paying attention to where I was putting it. Okay, that looks pretty good. Okay. That's how our box goes together. Okay. Next, we're going to decorate the outside. So here is where really comes the fun part. The pretty poinsettia dies are gorgeous. And if you'll notice, just to give you the contrast, okay, you can see these dies are all black, okay, and you don't see any color variation in there. On here, you can see the color variation on these poinsettia leaves. And that is because these are impression dies. And they work with our impression mat, which my impression mat has paper all over it, but it works fine. And I'm going to show you now, and I will tell you, when I did my sample, I did not use these. And it is not in my instructions, but I'm telling you, that you can do it this way. And at the end, I will show you the difference between the box I made tonight with this impression mat and my sample, okay? So I have, the way this works is that first you want to take and just cut out the die like normal. Okay, so you're going to take your cut and emboss. You're going to place, you've got your base, your shim, and plate 3. You're going to put your die on your sandwich, and you're going to run your sandwich through just like normal. Let me just show you what you get. So this is the die, and you can see there is detail on it, okay? But we want more wow, more detail. So we're going to take and slide that right back in there, okay? And I actually also have some poinsettia leaves that I have cut already in soft seafoam, all 4. And I'm going to run these through with the impression plate. So what you want to do is take and put your base number 1 down. Let's see if I can remember this. You're going to put the shim in. You're going to put your die down kind of towards the more frontward of your sandwich. And then you're going to put the impression mat over it. And then you will put plate number 4, which is the specialty plate. And I'm going to roll this through. And one thing you will notice, and it's okay, is your impression mat may slide out a little bit. It may push out of the back of your sandwich, and that's okay. So as mine comes through, watch it here, and you can see that happening. That's just because the impression mat is a silicone mat, and it creates movement when the pressure from the embossing machine presses it between the layers. Okay, so now look at that. Do you see all that raised detail? It's so stunning. So I'm going to do that with our poinsettia pieces that I've already cut, and they're just sitting here waiting to be beautiful. Oops. Hoping I think it's okay to do it with all 4 of these in here. And so just remember, you always want your cutting edges to be facing that silicone mat. And then we're just going to run them through again. And you'll see here my silicone mat is starting to peek out again, and that's okay. That's what it does. So now we have these beautiful detailed poinsettia layers. Now again, I'll show you the difference in the end after I get this put together, and I'll show you my sample. You can see on here, I don't know if you can see, you can kind of see the impression here. I don't know that it actually cuts, but you can definitely see the marks, but it doesn't hurt it. Okay. All right. Just looking to make sure I remember the order to do this. All right, we're going to assemble the poinsettia and attach it to the box front with dimensionals. I'm going to start with this piece. I'm going to add flat. I'm going to start with our leaf here. Okay, and I'm just going to add some glue, but I am not going to glue this guy down here. This one here, we don't want to glue. And you'll see why. Oh, guys, I forgot to put my bow on my card. We'll do that when we come back. We will do that before we go tonight. All right, so I wanted this to be able to slide under there. All right, so now we have these 4 pieces that will layer together with dimensionals. Now, when I did this, I did use full-size dimensionals, and you can see them, but the reality is when you get it all put together, you can't see it. So I put this on the bottom. Dimensional goes on the bottom. And then I just used a glue dot or a touch of glue for each layer. You can do either. And you just want to take and make sure you have a good spread of your leaves out. Every one can look different. That's okay. Okay, so there is my poinsettia. Needs to do a little drying, but I'm going to go ahead and pop it in place right about there. Remember, it's on a dimensional, so it's a little raised. And then I have 2 of these little peaceful pine pieces that we trimmed out ahead of time. And I'm just going to use my dimensional paper here. We're just going to give them a little bit of a color wash. Stay in place with the shimmer brush. Just trying to not get it on my hands. I love these shimmer brushes. I don't know about you. They're my fave. Okay. So that just gives them a nice, pretty, shimmery look. Take the biggest one first. Put that in the center of our flower. And then add the second one. Like that. And now we have to create kind of like a buckle here to keep our box closed. Okay, so what we're going to do is go to our other scrap of Peaceful Pine from when we trimmed our paper. And we need a piece that is 3/4 of an inch wide by 4 1/4. So I'm just gonna cut this down to 4 1/4 and trim it to 3/4. We can toss that now. And I'm going to add this right about here. I'm only going to add glue here and here, okay? Because I want to be able to slide this in and out. So I'm going to take and add some glue towards the end, like so. Just looking at my sample to make sure I get it placed right. We're going to pull out our little buttons, and we're going to finish this off. Oh, this is probably just easier to pull these boogers off. Add one button there, and then we're going to add one button there. These buttons are sparkly around the edges, if you can see that. They're adorable. We have not had buttons for a while, and I've always loved a good button on a project. We used to have all kind of different buttons, and I don't know if like in the 90s and 2000s, like we used to always have like jars of buttons around, and we would put buttons on all of our projects for all kind of things. Okay, so in your packet, you would have got a whole bunch of die cuts pre-cut for you, and we need to find the one that goes with this, which is this cute label. This is from the, what is this from? The Beautifully Celebrated dies. They're very handy set of layering detailed edge dies, and we're going to stamp on here. So we have 2 stamps. We're going to stamp "'Tis the Season," and this is going to be stamped in Real Red. I love that stamp. And then I have a little tiny, kind of like stars that we're going to add up there, or like little snowflakes. And we are going to add this, but what we are going to do is we're going to put dimensionals here, and we're also going to put dimensionals here, but we're not going to take the backing off there. So this is what I'm going to do. I want it here. Okay, so if I put it there, I can see where I want it. Actually, I want it about there. Then I can take my dimensionals, and I know I want to support it here. And I know I want it supported here, but I'm not going to take those backs off, just these. Okay, and then that way we can pull this open and flap that open, and then tuck this back in. And this is supported, but it won't stick down, okay? Now we do need to add some ribbon here, and we'll do the ribbon for this and the card at the same time. we are using the Fun Real Red Stitched ribbon. So for here, we're just gonna put a nice festive bow. So you can make this one a little bit bigger than you might for a card because we've got more space available. So we're going to glue dot this in for our flower. Let's see, where do I want it? I want it right about here. I put my flower together slightly different than I did on my first one, so I don't have the same spot to stick my bow. That's okay, because I'm going to do it like this time. And then you have that cute little box with the bow and the poinsettia. Now let's add the ribbon to this card that Jennifer forgot earlier. So I took and I wrapped all the way around the card front. Centering it kind of in this strip of Designer Series paper. And then I wanted my bow right about here. Get this on the first time, I'll be really happy. It's tricky sometimes when you are wrapping and this ribbon wants to twist on you, but I think I got it. Let's see. It did. Now, if you're worried about it sliding around, just take a glue dot and put it right under where you want that bow to stick. So there is the card with the ribbon. We can open our adorable card box and put our card in, and then we'll be able to add our cards through the week into our box so that we can gift a cute box of Christmas cards to someone or sell them at a holiday market or whatever you want to do with it. But I like the idea of gifting it before Christmas or selling them at a holiday market. So I hope you enjoyed the day one projects for this holiday craft along, and I hope that you'll join me again tomorrow for 2 more awesome projects featuring the Festive Cheer and Pretty Poinsettia bundles. I had to look at it because I couldn't remember again. Thank you guys so much. And just remember, if you weren't able to select and purchase the craft along kit before the craft along, you can still order the PDF tutorial and it will be sent to you quickly. If you order it while I'm sleeping, it will not be sent, but it will be sent within 24 hours. So you'll have that PDF very soon so that you can start crafting along. Thank you so much and see you tomorrow. Bye.